There's not that many out there. You have to ask yourself why. Why is it that human beings over and over again in all these wildly diverse societies, you know, in the steppes of Asia and the jungles of the Amazon and the deserts of Africa, completely disconnected by religion, by economy, by culture, by history, why do human beings keep coming up with this same basic marriage idea? And if you bother to ask the question, I don't think the answer is that hard to find. Marriage as a universal human idea has roots in three facts that are, they're persistent about human beings everywhere. The first is that the overwhelming majority of us are powerfully attracted, and not by reason, to an act that makes new human life, right? Here's a news bulletin. Sex between men and women makes babies. The second truth, society needs babies.
See, I told you this would be education.
Reproduction is optional for the individual. Not everybody needs to do it. But only those human societies that figured out how to manage a strategy for managing the procreative implications, the truth and the reality of male-female sexuality, survived to become one of the possibilities our anthropologists went out and recorded. The third idea on which marriage is based is that children ought to have a father as well as a mother. And it is fatherhood more than motherhood that is conceptually at stake in the marriage debate. And not that marriage doesn't powerfully affect mothers as well as fathers, and not that fathers are more important than mothers or vice versa. I know we've had a whole big debate about gender, which is another really important debate, which I'm going to ask you to just put on the side here, because the truth I'm pointing to is really even more basic, okay? So put it this way. When a baby is born, there is bound to be a mother somewhere close by, right? If we want fathers to be there for their children and for the mothers of their children, biology alone will not take us very far. We need a cultural mechanism for attaching fathers to the mother-child bond and for communicating to young men and women engaged in said dramas that they ought to do some or all of the hard things necessary to get this great good for their children.